Hey guys, welcome to Mosaic. This is the podcast where everything is just fantastic. Ruth is not freaking out right now. She is so normal.
I have something in my eye.
Normal behavior. Literally, I just started talking and she starts wiggling. You all right?
You threw me under the bus.
How? I was the one that was talking.
You're what we're talking about today.
Well, no. I gave you the topic that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Because that's what came up. Hey, this is the first time we're hitting record today. It's not a episode that's been burned and crashed because of me.
Whoa, what was that?
What was what?
No, that's what we're going to talk about today. Whoa. Let's just throw it back in his court.
Yeah. Let's talk about forgiving ourselves.
Whoa.
No, we don't.
So today's episode is about forgiving ourselves.
Extending grace to ourselves.
Extending grace.
I don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
No, we fired that guy that ruined that episode last time. He's gone. He's nowhere to be found. I don't see him. So that's a perspective joke. Because never mind. Anyway, you can't see yourself. Ha ha. Where's my laugh track? I need a laugh track.
Yeah.
Golly.
That was
My
terrible.
studio. So this is a fun episode. This is the dynamic trio, I guess is what we'll call this.
Dynamic trio. The Three Musketeers.
The Three Muskets.
The
Three
three.
Three cannons, if you're in the room earlier. Ruth she's collecting cannons.
Yep.
And so we're the three cannons.
Loose cannons.
Loose? No, I don't know about loose. Ruth for sure is. We have no idea what's going to come out of her mouth. I got to stand by with the...
Ready,
Ruth.
Oh,
Ruth. Man.
I thought you were going to have some effect on the screen. So I was like, what is it? Okay.
Genuinely was surprised. It's funny because what was it? Like the last two episodes we've used the censor button and every single time. What'd y'all say?
Yeah.
We literally don't say anything. We just like it. We like to have the perspective that we're edgy, but we're not.
It spices it up with just a beat button.
We're just a beat button. It's just, it gets your attention.
Yeah.
It pulls you out of whatever you're doing. Like, what'd they say? Oh, didn't know it was that kind of episode.
It's part of the algorithm on YouTube. It puts our video up there with edgy videos. The computer AI senses the beep, and it's like, let's put this up toward the top.
Wow, they really are going off today.
Next time we do the intro, let's just, like, when our jingle comes in, like, this is the most viewed video on YouTube.
Like, wow, they put lyrics on top of their jingle, and they are not good lyrics.
It's a terrible song.
It's awful. Why? But we love the Lord here. We don't cuss ever. That's not true. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
Not gonna lie to you. Ruth does all the time.
Okay.
Well, I'm not lying to them, Ruth.
I'm not the only
honest,
one.
Ruth. And she drinks a beer before every episode.
Right.
I looked over here a while ago, and I'm like, are you drinking a beer? And it's a canned drink. You can't get it in frame.
Drink.
It's right down by my foot.
Right by
here.
your foot. Ruth's grabbing it right now.
Good,
she's
I'm
like,
too lazy.
she's stressed.
Yeah. Why would you tip it to the camera? It just made it more suspect.
Cheers.
It is an energy drink. I needed the energy
Okay.
My favorite
to
thing.
do this with you guys.
My favorite thing is that Daniel just said suspect.
What?
Why did you say that?
Because it's just sus.
Oh my gosh.
But you say the full word.
If you don't get it by now, then I don't say bet. I just say you betcha or suspect.
It's hilarious.
We're old.
I know. Y'all are like so old. Like I didn't, whenever you're sitting there and you're like, your parents are trying to be cool and you're just like, what are they doing? Like I've noticed that with you guys.
Oh
like,
my
y'all are
gosh.
stepping into that era.
Whatever. You're like 1 year younger than me. And we turned a year younger this year. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I didn't.
You did not. You're 50?
No.
7?
No.
56.
Ruth is
That's it. Right on the nail. Do
Almost
not.
there.
Oh, she's ashamed of her age. That's what she is. Ruth is ashamed of her age.
We
when?
could say it and bleed it out if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
We years old.
I've never lived up since I turned 19. I've never lived up to my age. I've always lied about it.
To the point
Since-
that I don't even know
whoa.
how old she is.
Since 19?
Mm-hmm.
So when you were 19, you said, I'm 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you were 20, you said, I am 18 years old.
Did I not?
Yeah. To the point that I literally have to ask her what her age is.
The only year I did not lie about my age was when I was 21.
Because you want to get that drink.
See, there it is. Case in point. You say it's an energy drink.
No, it is.
Yeah, what kind of energy? Hi, welcome to Tito's Energy.
It's that low energy. It's that calming energy drink.
Different type of energy.
Yep.
Boy, man, we just made progress on this episode. That was a fun little circle.
I think that our viewers are like, okay, this episode starts at 6. I'm going to jump in around 6:20.
Yeah. I'm curious.
That's when they start to like really dive
Yeah.
into the things.
How many Mosers fast forward the episode like 15 minutes? They listen to the jingle because I love the jingle. And then it's like, okay, 15 minutes. You know how you can hit YouTube like this really fast and it goes like 60, 120, 190.
They just see us.
Yep. Beep, beep, beep.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, that's hilarious. It is funny though because I think it was like 2 episodes ago. When I go through and I edit them, I'll like just listen to the episode and my cheat code is when I hear something good come from anyone, I hit M on my keyboard, which puts a little marker on the timeline. And so like I can just go back and then find the markers and make the clips.
Yep.
And so it was like 2 episodes ago. There was like none in the beginning, and like so many at
All
the
these
end.
M's
All
at
these
the
ones
end.
at the end. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh, that's hilarious that we took our time trying to.
Yeah. That was
Try
the
and
one
really
Sam
dig
and I
into
sat there
the-
for like an hour just talking about Paul Wall or somebody.
Post Malone.
Post Malone.
Yes,
On my
and you.
yes.
Wow.
We have a clip out
Started
there
with a P.
where people are literally adding Post Malone for you because you're inviting him onto the podcast
Yes.
and inviting him to Palestine during Christmas.
Yes. We're going to do it again. Hey, Post Malone. Mr. Malone. What do you call him?
Mr. Malone.
We're not on
Mr.
first name.
Malone for now on. Yeah,
Mr. Malone.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Mr. M.
Oh man.
Yeah. He needs to come during Christmas because I told him my favorite time of the year. Literally one time during the Parade of Lights, my dad was driving the vehicle in front of us and we're walking behind it and you throw out candy to all these kids there. It is magical. Post. So you're going to walk with me in the parade. It's going to be amazing. But we'll give you like some like dress up stuff so people don't know who you are. So you can just enjoy your time because we said it's going to be vacation when he comes to Palestine. So anyway, when we're walking through this, my dad lets the car in front of him get a little bit too ahead and they round this curve and we're making like an S through downtown. Well, my dad decides he's going to keep up with them, which is like 20 miles an hour. I can't run 20 miles an hour. So I'm holding like this big old bucket of candy and trying to keep up and running. And so finally, if you can imagine some little kid's point of view is like, remember that time we went to the parade and we saw this fat guy running down like the street with a bucket of candy? Because I'm like trying to keep up with my dad. And I swear he like fishtailed around one corner, like burned out and kept on going. So anyway, the point of the story is that was the best year because a fire truck was behind us and they stop and they let me and my sister on and they turn on the lights. They let me like throw candy off it and like, it was amazing. I got to get on the old timey water thing and move it around. I'm like, it was
made his
amazing.
day, like
I was like, woo! I'm a fireman at Christmas in a parade.
And this was last year.
This was, yeah, almost. It was 2 years ago. It was cool.
He turns into a child at the parade. He literally lights up like
Dude,
it's his favorite thing all year long.
It gets bigger every year. And that last year it was thousands of people there. Like we're talking thousands.
He buys like the tubs, like the huge tubs you put your clothes all in. He buys 4 of those?
Yeah, 3.
With full of candy.
Let's be real.
That's how it's like, we're not running out of candy.
My goal is to use 1.5 all the way down to the Catholic Church, because that's where it rounds to come all the way back to the courthouse. And it makes like 3 miles or something, or it's a pretty long trek. And so you get your cardio in, but the look on their faces, and I always carry like little jingle bell things like this past year. And so like the special kids you get to give a little jingle bell out to. It is the most wonderful time of the year. I get excited talking about it. I can't wait because I'm like sweating my eyes out right now because it's so stinking hot in June. But anyway.
No, Christmas is the most magical time of the year. And I don't like when people pretend it's not. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And it is just, it's a delight. I like that you hand out full-blown like Halloween bags to every kid of candy. Yeah. They're like, this is the best parade ever. There's only 400 people in Palestine. And he's got candy for 5,000.
By the time I get down there,
I don't know why he sounds like Mickey Mouse.
Hey guys. That was a terrible impression.
That Mickey's rough.
Oh my gosh. I was the Timmy
Mickey's
version.
Been through it.
I was the Wish version of Mickey there. I had to get a water after that.
Hey guys.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, fun story.
Hey, sorry, I just kept on. Just kept it going.
Oh, fun story is when I was a kid and I'd be with my sister in any kind of grocery store, any store at all. I am able to fake asthma attacks because of my wheeze. Mm-hmm. And I would fake asthma attacks for Ruth.
Yes.
And like to the point, because I'm wheezing and I'm turning to her and I'm saying like, where's my inhaler? And everyone around us is looking at her like, give him his inhaler.
Ruth just walks away.
No, I didn't. I'm like, stop. Just shut up. Stop right now. And then I'm yelling at him.
Condition, I can't stop.
And everybody's causing this big scene. So then I had to leave the store. That's how he would, when he's done shopping, that's what he would do. And want to go home because I was his ride.
That's why Ruth shops so fast now. That's why she runs.
That's why. You're the reason. Now we know.
It comes full circle.
See, when I go, I like to relax and just walk slow. And Ruth has already made 3 laps around whatever she needs to do. Last time we went shopping last night, we went and Ruth decided to get her own cart. She didn't think my cart was good enough. She just got her own and kept on walking.
Listen, I went shopping with her when I first moved back to Palestine. I was like, hey, Ruth, do you know what we're supposed to... Ruth. And she is gone.
Because he took the cart.
Sprinting through there.
He took the cart from me and he soon gave it back.
I unleashed her, yes.
He's like, you need this so I can keep up with you.
Yeah, I didn't stretch this morning.
You need a pair of rollerblades. Just like hold on to her.
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Condition.
Yeah, you need freedom. The Lord needs to touch you on that. Be like, relax. You can slow down here.
I am relaxed. I'm getting my workout and grocery shopping at the same time.
2 birds.
How awkward would that be to like go up for ministry time and be like, what are you up for prayer for? I shop too fast. They'd be like, what? Like literally I go too fast. I just need prayer to slow down.
I do.
I bet you there's some wild, because people ask for prayer, like, for wild things. I bet you there's someone that was like, I just need a larger budget. I need a shopping spree. I need you to pray that in, please, for me.
I need to find my keys. I've been lost for days.
I've been here for a week.
I had to walk to church this morning. I've been here for a week. They stay behind.
In my head, that's what happened. They got stuck.
It just clicked what you said. For a week.
I can't find them.
We're out of toilet paper in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
See what I mean? So there's not going to be one M all the way till now. And then like the whole episode just started.
Oh no, I'm going to clip your Parade of Lights story. That's for sure happening.
It's literally the only thing I'm trying to get Post Malone here is the Parade of Lights. Like I don't have. Oh, and we have Polar Express. If you like the Polar Express, come here. We have a ton of stuff in Palestine.
Oh no,
we do not have a ton of stuff.
We
in Palestine.
do for him to take a vacation
yeah.
because he would literally sit here. Okay, here's night number one: hot chocolate by the pool. Look at the stars.
Is he staying here?
Because he's staying here. Oh, I thought I told you that.
He's staying at our house.
He's staying at this house.
We're gonna be roommates.
Dude, I didn't mean to get your hopes up. You're not staying in a hotel. It's the holidays.
Staying at the house, dude.
It's the holidays. Why would he stay at a hotel? How depressing is that?
You can't get a hotel on the holidays
dude,
here.
you can bring one friend. But you're about to have 3 new ones right here. So I don't know why you would, because you're going to be hanging out with us. He would.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Y'all laugh and he's showing up at Christmas. Y'all better get ready. We better clean up a little bit.
I don't think he cares.
He doesn't.
He might care.
No.
It's going to be so decked out. Okay, so hot chocolate by the pool.
Yeah.
First night, he'll get extra marshmallows. Second night, I already told him this.
Because you deserve it, Post.
He's on vacation. You get extra marshmallows. Second night, I already said this. We're going to Walmart, and we're just going to walk around. And he might shake a few hands if people know who he is.
I guarantee you no one knows no one in Palestine is going to know who Post Malone
That's
is.
why he needs to vacation here,
Yeah.
so he's not like hit up
That's
everybody.
a good selling point.
Okay. And then we do Parade of Lights on Saturday, and then he goes to church and does children's with us on Sunday.
You're going to work?
Yeah. No, it's not work.
It's a volunteer.
Listen, when we have to have our service.
You're volunteering with us.
I'm thinking he could do a song for the kids ministry. Listen, you'll have to cut a few words out. I'm not saying you should say a couple of words.
We're gonna have to use that button.
We would have to use the bleep button, but these kids are
you.
impressionable. He could do nursery. Post, if you can change a diaper, you're good, bro.
Okay.
All right, what are we talking about
What are we
today?
talking
Sorry.
about?
Now we're talking about kidnapping Post Malone.
Not kidnapping.
Forcing him to work at our church for
Making him
us.
stay at the house for us.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
No, we're going to talk about how life is not in our control. So, Post, you are a prime example for this.
Yeah.
Because you're coming to Palestine whether you want to or not.
Your life is not in your control.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the topic that jumped off when we were sitting here talking before we hit record.
Yep. I had to go get my tire repaired because it had a screw in it. And then when we're headed back up to Walmart, I looked over at Ruth and she... Anyway, I can't say RBF because what it stands for was like...
Yeah,
okay.
you totally can't just...
Buford. Buford is this mean guy. And so she had resting Buford face.
Okay.
And so she had RBF, and I was like, babe, what is going on? I said, did I say, is my tire stressing you
naturally
out?
have RPF.
Well, now I know what she's going to go for ministry now. I can't find my keys, and I got RBF.
I need to smile, and I don't.
Have people lay hands on your face. But I looked over at her, and she was like, I'm just fighting tears today. I'm just not feeling like I've been stressed. There's stuff with, like, without going into crazy detail, just things with the city, trying to get electricity fixed at the shop. There's just a lot of stressors that she had on her. So tell us how you feel in your gut, like, encourage people.
I think it's
Because
gonna
they may
be
be going
encouraging.
through the same thing right now.
I just feel like I can't, like, it's completely out of my hands. Like, you've done everything you're supposed to do. I've filled out all of the applications, the certificates, and I still have to wait on the city before I can do anything. And we are going on day 3.
Why'd you look at your
I
phone?
was thinking what the date was. It says it right there.
You just saw 203 and you're like 3.
No,
Or
it's
2.
June 5th is what.
Crack me up.
Because I had put, never mind.
Well,
Anyways,
give some
3
context
days.
because
I have
the last
closed
episode.
I've closed my business.
Yeah, you closed your business.
completely moved out of 3,000 square feet and into 800, which is really bad. But so I'm having to condense and sell and clean everything, get it set up in my new location, and I don't have electricity. They won't give me electricity until they do an inspection. I had to have an electrician come, and now I have to have an inspection with the city. They won't, and it's been 3 days, and they still have not called me to do the inspection. So until they come and do the inspection and I get my certificate of occupancy, even though I'm just moving next door. And so now I'm having to wait, and I'm having to push clients and all the other stuff that comes with it because I can't open because of the city.
That we love.
Super stressful.
We love. And so nothing's in my control right now. So I'm having to sit here and shuffle my life around.
And this is on the tail end of, like, we've had a ridiculous amount of storms in East Texas.
Right.
And literally last week, like, we can talk about that too. We were, like, I was out of power for 4 days at the house, and it's just losing my mind because of deadlines and stuff that I need to do for editing and things like that, and not having power, not having the ability to do that now gives me no way to make money. And it's like I have bills coming up, and so it's like when things are completely out of our control, I don't know if I panic. That's what I do. I found that out real fast this week. I panic, and you're not supposed to do that.
I was going to say, and it's nothing you could control. And you're right on the storms. People that may not know, you sent me a thing that was declared by Anderson County. It was a state of disaster that they issued for this area just because of the amount of trees, wind, and everything else. And then on the flip side, I work in insurance, and the hundreds of claims that are coming in daily to our offices and other offices, and then we even have offices that are without power. It's just insane how much all this has happened. And then it even happened to our house, because as y'all lost power, then we had a tree fall at our house and hit our line, but it didn't cut the power. It just made our house where it didn't have a neutral, so it's like a fire hazard the whole time. And so we had
and our light bulbs kept popping.
Light bulbs were
Oh my gosh.
it was like a
turn everything off.
episode of Heroes or something. It was, what was his name that could like charge? For all of our OG people that love Heroes.
I love that you're doing a Heroes reference right now. This is fantastic.
Because I've never been in a house where I can make a light bulb. I was like, oh yeah, I'm super powered. And I got to pay for electrician.
You're from a completely different country.
I know. When I get a superpower, I change my accent. I don't know if you know this.
Clearly, yeah.
When I read a book, I talk like this as well. Because smart people are from Britain.
That's true. You're right.
Oh my gosh.
So we're dealing with all that. And then share more on yours because you were without power. We had to get the generator going. We're having to hook up with our freezers. In the middle of this, got sick.
Yeah.
Because then I just started like getting the shakes at work and then throwing up everywhere, and it was bad.
And then I'm moving out.
Ruth's moving, not out of the house.
No, my
she
business.
almost did, because we got in a bad fight this week
Yes,
too.
we did.
So you moved out of the business.
Yes. I was moving out of my business, packing everything up. I have a broken foot.
I now realize why it took us 20 minutes to get into any kind of actual conversation for this episode. Our avoiders are going crazy, and we do not want to talk about anything because it's been hell, honestly.
It really has.
It's been hell for the last few weeks.
It has been hell week.
It has been hell week times two.
The last time we recorded was
with Casey.
With Casey.
I mean, like way seasons ago.
But I'm thinking it was like it was before we had the really bad storm that jacked up Anderson County. Like we've been having tons of storms, tons of claims, weather, but then
we recorded the episode with Casey. The next day is when the storm hit.
Yeah, because it was Memorial Day. And then we did some smoked chicken, enjoyed the day, had a good holiday, and then it was like all hell broke loose in Anderson County.
Yeah.
That Monday.
Monday night going into Tuesday. Yeah.
Well, was it Tuesday that it became black outside?
I don't know.
That was the eclipse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had come
went back to
home
work.
you had come home for lunch, and it was like pitch black outside. I was like, what is going on?
I'm walking to the back toward our bedroom, and I hear this.
Something hit our house. It was a tree.
No,
That was nice.
that was the tree falling.
Yes. So, oof.
Yeah, no, it's been
You're right.
it's been wild, and like we do not want to talk about it because it's not there is no light at the end of the tunnel, I feel right now for me. And it just, I don't know, I feel burnt out, kind of like I'm like just tired of another crisis. I'm tired of like another reason of things going wrong. Okay, so like,
Whoa, let's jump on that one, dude.
yeah, this is when I found out I'm not okay. We have a generator running here, and I would spend my days at your guys' house, and then I would sleep here because it was just, there's no power here. But y'all had exploding light bulbs, which was fun. So I wanted to be around those. And so like, yeah, I was hanging out at your guys' house, and then I came back. My dad was just here because he was going to go to Nebraska. And I leave y'all's house around 11 something at night, and I get to the house and I walk inside. I immediately lock the front door, which is not something I normally do. But I lock the front door and throw the keys on the counter. My phone's about to die, so I plug my phone in to charge, and I was like, oh, I need to check the generator to make sure that I have gasoline. So I grab a flashlight, go out to the garage, open it up, look inside. Cool. Fill up gasoline to make it good for the night, close it, turn around, and I completely am locked out of my house. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, we have a spare key. I'm not going to tell y'all where it's at, but we have a spare key. I'll go get that. And so I take my flashlight and I go out and I shine my flashlight, and it is not anywhere to be seen. And we had just had people stay at the house. So my brain goes, it's sitting in their room. They forgot to put it back. So it's inside the house. Okay, I'll try windows. And so I literally try every single window. At this point, I'm starting to freak out because I have no way to, like, I can't drive anywhere. The keys are inside. My phone's inside. I can't call anyone and say, like, hey, I'm locked out of the house.
And describe where you are.
I am in the middle of nowhere. Like, there's
With the power out.
with the power out.
It's like pioneer times with
yes
power.
Yes. And it's like I'm literally going through my brain because I'm like, if you guys call me and I don't answer, your first thought is not going to be, oh, I need to go out to the house and check on him. It's like, oh, he's probably busy, like doing something. Or if you wouldn't, because you wouldn't be able to hear from me, like it wouldn't even cross your mind to come out to the house. So I'm like, at most, I'm 3 days away from somebody driving out here. And so I'm just in my head trying to figure this whole thing out. I'm like, I can sleep in the truck, but then like, I'm like, there's no way. And I just start panicking, dude. And I think like, okay, sometimes whenever it rains, I like to open my windows in my bedroom, but I'm on the second story. And so and sometimes when my dad leaves the house, he locks his shop, which is where the ladder is. So I'm going to the wood shop and I'm just like, okay, please let it be open. And I try the handle. It opens up. Great. I can get this ladder. I get the ladder and I set it up to my second story window. And I start going up the ladder. Well, it slips a little bit. And I'm like, okay, well, if something is to happen while I'm on this ladder and I fall and I break my legs, again, I have no like phone to call anyone. I have no way to get anywhere. So I back down the ladder because I'm not going to risk that. And I'm just like, what do I literally, dude, I'm screaming. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just screaming it. Like, I have no idea what to do. I'm in full blown panic.
The viewpoint of like the deer that are over there by the
oh, they're like, Chasen, come closer to us. Stay away from that man.
Are these country deer?
Yeah. You didn't know that's what a country deer sound like? Yeah.
Jason, you think my
Jason, get away
hero's
from that man.
accent, but you're doing country deer out here, and his name's Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what they saw
great.
a documentary and they decided to name him Jason.
I'm sorry, I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I did. No. And I finally, I'm like rummaging through my dad's truck because I'm just like, anything that resembles a key. Oh, I found, you know, the things that in golf to fix divots?
Yeah.
My dad had a metal one. So I bent the prong back and I tried to pick the lock in the garage and tried that for like 20 minutes and couldn't get it open. And so then I'm back in the truck again and I'm trying to find anything that resembles a key. And thankfully I come across this keychain with like 5 keys on it. And one of them looks like a key house or the house key. I was like, please. And I try it and it opens right up. And I'm like, thank you, God. But literally, this dude, like this, I know it should comfort me, but it does not comfort me. I pick up my phone and I call my dad and I tell him exactly what just happened because I'm still in panic. Like I am coming down. I'm like having an anxiety attack. Like I am freaking out. And I tell him everything that happens. And he's like, well, guess what? Guess where I'm at right now. And then I see headlights. So he literally was on his way to Nebraska and felt like God said, like, to turn around and go back to the house. And so he did. And I'm just like, that should comfort me. But had he shown up an hour ago, that would have comforted me. I would have been like, oh man, I'm completely locked out of the house. Oh, look, there's headlights. Wow. That would be a great story.
Yeah.
But having to be out there for an hour with no idea that anyone's on their way. And like, it just, I don't know, bro. It wrecked me psychologically and made me realize like I'm more outside of my window of tolerance than I ever thought. Like I thought I was at least decent, but that thing took me out. And so it's just the idea of not having any control over what your circumstances are or when things are going to like technically be okay again, like whatever we think okay is again. It's, you can spiral so badly. And it's like, I don't know. I realize now, like, I don't handle it well. So, yeah, that's where I'm at today.
I think the waiting season, like as you're saying that, I'm thinking of like several instances in Scripture, several instances in my life. Like I don't give God enough credit where credit's due, because like you said, it should comfort me to know that God literally spoke. Holy Spirit came into your dad's truck and was like, hey, you need to turn around and go back. And your dad told me a little bit of the story and he was like, I don't know why. And he didn't even call you. It wouldn't have done any good anyway. But he was just like, I'm just going to turn around and head back to the house. The interesting thing is like God didn't share like that Paul's going to receive his sight again after he got knocked off his horse. He didn't share with Jonah that he's going to be spewed out on the shore. Jonah thought, well, this is it. I'm going to be digested. He didn't share with like, he didn't tell Isaac that, hey, I got a ram waiting for you in the bush. You just got to wait a little bit longer. Like he doesn't share those things, but he already has provision waiting there for you. Yeah. And like he knew where the key was in your dad's truck. He had already made, which comforts me, he had already had a plan B and a plan C and a plan D, because it's like, okay, if Sam doesn't do this, which he knew you're going to anyway, he already has Bill coming back to the house. I just think that I don't give God enough credit sometimes, that I need to freak out. I need to panic and think, okay, I'm going to worry about all these things, but God already has provision there for me.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I am a very optimist guy. Like more times than not, I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
This is where like it irked me. It was, okay, God, why did it have to get to that point? Why did it have to get to where I was in full blown panic? Like if I was already taken care of, why not bring at least comfort? Like at least some level of peace? Why let it get to the point where I'm now not just mad, I'm mad at you. And now it's like I'm having to come back from that and feel it. And like, dude, in another part of it, like, because being in the house with my dad, I still was panicked. I still was
like residual,
like going through it. Yeah. Like, and in talking with my dad, I realized another layer to it was I was now put in a difficult situation once again because of my own actions. And it was just like the enemy was right there again with, see, you can't even do this right.
Wow.
Like, you're going to mess everything up always. This is who you are. Those are the words that were being spoken to me. And it was just, hey, I couldn't fight it. It was you're right.
Yeah.
Because I'm now locked out of my house without my phone because of I did this on my way through the house and I locked myself out. And there's no one else to blame but me. And so like it was just another kick in the teeth for that. And I don't know, man. I feel like I'm just gonna ruin everything. Like that's I don't want to say it's my nature. Well, maybe it doesn't. I mean, we can go into super biblical things like our nature is not for us, right? But that's just, I don't know.
I think it goes all the way back to like episode 1 of season 1 of Mosaic.
Yeah.
When we were talking about catastrophizing, and I finally got that word right. I'm so excited. But if you step back and look at it like logically, fear is an illogical spirit. Like it just comes with facts, but it doesn't have any room for faith. Yeah. And all the spirit of fear was doing inside your head was giving you facts of there's a literal packs of coyotes out here. It is very dark and there are wild hogs. And so walking back would probably be unwise to make it to the next house. Yeah. There's gonna, you're gonna die tonight. Like it comes in with all these things that could happen, or like the worst case scenario or whatever it is. And I think it's interesting, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Mm-hmm. Like, why does God put us in those situations? Because you're 100% correct in the fact that God could have said, go to your dad's truck, there's a key in there, but he chose to withhold that information. Mm-hmm. Or was he very quietly speaking it and trying to get your attention for you to slow down? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, because he's a loving God, we know that. Let's go back to his nature. He is a loving God. He allows things to be filtered through his hands. Everything that happens in life to us is filtered through God's hands that comes to us. And so it in his eyes, it met his approval and it met his words to say, this is good for Sam to go through this next hour. Mm-hmm. So I guess the next logical question is, okay, God, why did you say this is good for me to go through this? Yeah. What were you trying to get out of me?
Mm-hmm.
I think it is legitimately to show me that I'm not as okay as I think I am. That I'm still healing in ways that I thought that I was healed already.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it, because that's what it did. Like, if I go back and I'm like, well, what's the purpose of this? I go back to what did it do?
Yeah.
What did it bring up?
Yeah.
And that's what it brought up for me. And it's like, I'm a pretty sporadic, like whimsical. I don't need much structure. Like, I can do things just, what? I'm just down, But
what are you talking about?
I know. And when I'm in a sense of like something that unexpected in the sense of danger, it doesn't, like, I don't have a plan for that. And so it is I was surprised with how fast I started panicking. But so your shop doesn't have any electricity.
One second. No.
So the city, what?
Wow. Inspections. That's wild.
We're gonna go back. No, I always got like the story where Jesus was asleep on the boat. And they're like going through the storm and everybody's freaking out and God was just sleeping. Like,
yeah.
And then they wake him up to be like, we're going to die.
Yes.
How can you sleep at a time like this? Like and he genuinely was like, just calms the storm. Like, just like that. Like, really, guys?
Yeah.
And that's what the level, and those are people that are walking with God, like literally tangibly touching him, feeling him, seeing him.
Yeah.
And they couldn't even get it right.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah.
And so that's what I go back, that like kind of grounds me of like, or in helping myself to give me grace in that moment of just like, okay, if they couldn't get it right then I'm not going to get it right. And it's going to take that and what partnering with his faith of like, he's got the control over every situation. And there's like, I guess you get like a choice when things go south of what you're going to partner with. Does that make sense? Like what you're going to agree with. And I know like it takes me actively pushing against the anxiety and the stress and the fear that's like in my head telling me with all these thoughts of like, I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to partner with what's God going to say. He knows the outcome of the situation. He knows what's going to happen on the other side of this mountain. And right now it's not in my control. I've done everything I can do. God, and even if you do mess up, even if you have done something to cause the situation, pausing and stopping and being like, okay, God, here I'm going to partner with peace. God, I'm going to partner with you, what you're saying right now in my situation, and not listening to all the other crap. Because that's when I go downhill. That's when I spiral. That's when I'm like where I was this morning. I'm just like frustrated that I can't go to the next step right now because I'm having to wait on somebody else. And so, and then whatever the situation, you didn't even see the outcome. And let it, that don't beat yourself up on like, man, I should be further than I was. Because that's like, okay, well, guess what? There was a learning. Some stuff came up. Like, God, now let me work on my peace. Let me partner with who you are, who you say you are for my next season, and that you're going to be my peace right now. And no matter what circumstances say, no matter what the situation says, like, you're my peace. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
No, it makes sense.
That's really good. I was digesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But that's how, I know that that's hard. I'm not saying that it's easy. Like, that's a very hard thing to stay. And sometimes it's seconds and minutes, but like of like those thoughts coming into your head and the anxiety level of like your heart rate, everything that spikes when you're going through that.
I hate the feeling that I get that, well, two things, like not feeling worthy enough, because I'm like, God, I just had to ask you for peace, or I just had to ask you for something. Yeah. But then that mindset is just as dumb as me saying, Will, you just asked me for breakfast yesterday. Why are you asking for breakfast again? Like, he's my child. I'm going to feed him because he's my child. And I think that I'm so unworthy sometimes to come back to God and ask God, it just came to me, like my mercies are new every morning. God, I need some mercy again today. I need some grace. I need manna again for today, because I feel, and this is inside of me, and maybe y'all feel the same way. I feel like an inconvenience sometimes, and I've told you that a lot, that I hate feeling like I'm inconveniencing somebody. So I'll put myself in harm's way, like I'm some like strong person, or put on some kind of facade so they don't have to see my weakness. And so, because in that same scenario, like if I were one of the disciples, I hate being the guy that interrupts someone's peace just because I don't have peace. And as I'm saying that, I see how stupid that sounds, because they didn't interrupt Jesus's peace. He transferred from peace in sleep to peace being awake. He was still at peace. And he was like, okay, let's deal with this storm so I can go back to sleep, or we can just go back to doing whatever because y'all are in a panic. So I just had to get that out of my mouth so I could process it.
It's a relationship. It's a relationship, and in a relationship, it's not an inconvenience because it's like the two become one. So maybe that's where he wants us. And we look at it as like weakness, like what you're just saying. That's a weakness. That's something that you're pushing away from. But God's like, no, that's what I want. I want you to need me. I want you to lean on me. I want you to, it's not an inconvenience. It's, I want you to want me.
See, I equate that to, because I think of like, in our culture, we always say like abide in the vine, because he says that we're the branch, he is the vine, or wait. Yeah, he's the, oh my gosh, I just got brain fog. I'm the vine, you are the branch. Golly, yes. I said it backwards, it screwed me up.
And then I can think.
But the whole point is abiding inside the vine, where I get all my nutrients, my peace, you name it, whatever it is, because I'm inside of him and he's inside of me. What flows through him flows inside of me. But at the same time, I'm like, I feel like I've gotten so religious that I call it spiritual maturity, that I'm so mature now that I don't have to ask God as often for peace or for comfort, even though he says, I'm sending you a comforter. To the apostles who walked with him day in and day out for 3 years. I'm sending you a comforter because y'all need comfort, and you'll need comfort from now on. But I think inside my mind, East Texas Daniel, that I don't need a comforter, because that is spiritual immaturity if I'm having to call on Holy Spirit every day, because it's like I'm not learning my lesson. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, no, and I relate very much with that because I feel the same thing. Like, I don't want to be a burden to anyone. When you're talking about the comforter, though, like, that's what was showing up for me, was like this idea of medication. And it's like, I get to the place where it's like, oh, I should have, like, I took this already. And so maybe in my brain, it's, if the effects have worn off, I think that that's something that I did. Like, I caused the effects to go away. So now I'm at fault again, to the place where I need another renewing of mercy or like comfort, when I should have already just kept this comfort that I had and not lose it. Like, that's how my brain like processes it. In the same form of like needs, like, I should have already had this down, like, but no, like, here I am again needing something. And it's like, I'm sick and tired of being in that place of need. I want to be the one that's helping. Like,
yeah.
And as I say that, the Lord's like, well, you can be in a place of need and still help.
Yeah.
And you don't think about that, like, at least I don't. Like, I feel like, I think the person helping has it figured out. Like, they're not hurting, they're helping. Yeah. But it's you can be hurting and help.
It's both at the same time. I mean, you look at, going back to like, as you're saying that, I'm thinking of William again. So William does come to me and say that he's hungry, and I give him breakfast again. As a good father, I provide for my children, but then he, as he's being provided for, can also provide for AJ and say, hey, Dad's getting me this, let me get this for you too. And so it's yes, and it's, yeah, I'm still being provided for, and I can also help my brother out because I can show them what my Heavenly Father is giving me. In the same situation, you can say, the next time somebody locks their keys out of their car or whatever like that, be like, hey, I just went through that a couple months ago. Let me tell you that God is going to take care of you, and hey, you should call your dad. He's probably on his way to pick you up or something.
Stuff
or
happens.
They left their phone inside and they can't call anyone.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
No, I think that, well, I kind of want to dig into this idea of, why do we feel like we have to have it all figured out? Why do we feel like we can't just be I even hesitate saying the word needy. Like it's such a 4-letter word for me. Do the math, it's not. You were sitting there spelling it.
Yeah. Just go with it.
1, 2, 3. No, 4-letter words are cuss words.
Oh yeah.
And so it feels like a cuss word to me. Like it is to be needy. Like it's just in like our culture, dude. Like it's not a good thing to be a needy person. And it does I feel like our culture does have an influence on our minds in this, because you're supposed to be well off. You're supposed to when you think of like the ideal person, they have a house, they have a family, like their bills are paid. There's no issues, right? Like they're
self-sufficient.
And it's like, I don't think that that's the actual picture of a human being ever, honestly.
I think there's a vast difference between needy and consumerist. Like somebody who just consumes is a baby. And a baby is designed that way, but a baby is also designed to also mature and come out of that. But I don't think we ever need to leave neediness, because we always are supposed to be dependent on Jehovah Jireh, who is provision for us. Because if we get past that, then that's where we develop this pride inside of ourselves that we become God. We become Jehovah Jireh in our own eyes. That's my battle that I deal with the most often, is that I don't look at myself as a consumer of just I'm always going to consume these things, but I look at myself as I've prided myself to pull myself up by my East Texas mentality of a man needs to provide for his family, himself, and if he's not, he's a failure, and he needs to get a grip on it. Don't show emotion. Get out there, find something, work, provide for your family, and do it all within your own power. And that is some of the biggest thing that plagues like guys our age in this day and age, is like, oh, you're a loser because you're not doing this, this, and this, and doing it all by yourself, when every moment of the day I'm having to depend on God. And that's literally the season I'm going through. Before we even started this episode, I said, like, today I already have that inkling thing coming inside my mind, because I'm like, it's Wednesday. I'm already having to set up, like, get appointments and stuff for next week. My day got rained out today. The things that I did have set up, having to push off and stuff, which means that's just money out of my pocket. I mean, I'm just being real. And I'm like, right now, I'm like thinking, okay, I'm recording this episode to encourage other people that are listening. But at the same time, I have like this inner voice that's saying, well, you need to be doing this. You need to be doing this.
Yeah, I think like I want to touch on even the fact that people who have become super successful. Well, let's take celebrities.
Post Malone.
More Post Malone.
Oh my God.
Wait a minute. Is this a good example, or do I need to leave him out of this
It's
one?
well, maybe, I don't know. It's
Okay,
a real example.
Well, just Taylor Swift. Is it a good or a bad
Maybe.
example?
Maybe.
Because we can put her here. Okay. She could take it, and then we'll get a song written about us.
Yeah. No, like, I think, like, why is suicide still a thing with celebrities?
Ooh.
Why is... And I think it's the realization that when you do, quote unquote, have everything.
Mm-hmm.
I
Meaning,
think there's still...
like, financial, everything.
Yes, like whatever your idea
Needs.
of...
Of like, I've
Physical
arrived.
needs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, your... If I can accomplish, if I have
Fame and
$1
fortune.
billion
and-
in the bank account,
Yeah.
there's still need.
Yeah.
And I think that is what we're expecting to leave.
If
I have this,
that's good.
I won't have needs.
That's good.
And I think that the realization of that is,
You know why?
Detrimental.
Because it's all gonna burn up.
Oh yeah, there you go with Ruth.
It's empty.
Stinking
It
punk.
is. Money's empty.
Yeah.
All the stuff is empty. Like
For
cars.
those of you who don't know, this is Ruth's favorite line ever.
Because it's so true.
I don't know what to wear. It's all gonna burn up anyway. My car won't start. Well, it's gonna burn up. Even water burns.
Because if your mindset is like, this is going to make me feel successful, this right here, having this amount of money in the bank, that's going to make me feel like I've made it. And like God worked on me a long time ago before I even started my business. What is failure and what is success? And I like listed all this stuff out of like what success would be to me. And then I was just like, well, now that I'm here on the other side of that, I'm like, success to me, like in people's eyes around me, it would be failure right now. I'm like literally failed and like where I'm at right now. But I don't call it failure because I have learned so many lessons. I have gained so much knowledge in starting a business, in working with a city, like all the things we've done, of having a tragedy happen and having, like with your roof being ripped off your building, having people that have to work and have to have an income. I've learned so much. And so to me, on the other side of all of this is like, I didn't fail. I did learn things that don't work. Like, but is that failure? Because I've gained a whole bunch more knowledge that I didn't have before. And so I think it also goes back to just like how we view ourselves, you know, and like that, if you're going to sit there and have this horrible self-talk of like, and blame yourself, like you screwed this up, you did which could be true, but just learning to like, okay, what did we learn from this situation? Yeah. What are the positives that we can have a takeaway for?
We've had that conversation several times, even with your dad. He and I joke back because we did this like 2 years ago at Thanksgiving. We're sitting out there doing the turkeys, and he was something. He said fail, and I said, but you can't fail. And he's like, you can fail, like, but you can't. And then we kept going back and forth because I use the scripture, love never fails, when it's talking about love, and I said love lives inside of us, and it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. So you can't fail. And people are like, well, that was a failure. I'm like, no, that was just, you have to retake the test again. That sucks, but it's like you got a pop quiz, and now you get pop quiz number 2 and pop quiz number 3. You can never fail at something. Now, with saying that, I feel like I always fail. I'm just saying I go against exactly what I'm preaching because I feel the exact same way. Yeah. And in the same time, you only look back on the years that before you closed your business, and I'm like, God has done so many things through all the travesties and all the other stuff that has hit us. In fact, the other night, I told Ruth, like, since the beginning of the salon, I always heard this song inside of my spirit, which was the Lauren Daigle song. You know it, you can sing it for us. But it's the one that said it's Noel, and then part of the lyrics are like, come and see what God has done. Oh, puppy. Hey, buddy.
Hey, bud. We have a dog now, so there's a Mosaic dog.
I just don't randomly say puppy and look around.
Not normally.
He's speaking to me again. Spot, come back. Oh my God. The truck was so big.
That's what Daniel calls the Holy Spirit. He calls him puppy.
Bro.
Oh my God.
There's a line there. Yeah, even the dog knows.
Yeah.
Keep talking because I think that he needs to go outside, so I'm gonna take him out real fast. But keep talking.
If you need to use the restroom, just tell us you need to use the restroom. No, I was, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the Lauren Daigle song, part of the lyrics are, come and see what God has done. And Ruth and I were there just the other night. I don't know who I'm talking to because he walked away. So, yeah.
Just cut and polish, Sam.
So when we were there the other night, I mean, you and I can talk for right now to our viewers, and then we can say how awesome Sam is, like we did last time. Sam is an awesome guy.
He is.
See, what's crazy is that he was locked out of the house, and at any point, like, he could have just sat down and communicated with God because he is a man of peace, and he's always been a man of peace. So he's coming back in the room. I love it when you leave the room because then I can say all the fun things. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that except for Lauren Daigle's song, Come and See What God Has Done, because even though we're going through all this stuff, part of the lyrics of that song is, and that's why I kept feeling that song come back in my heart, was I saw ourselves just dancing in the salon of come and see what God has done. And what sucks is that years ago, it was like, come and see what God has done is that he's brought us from like craziness and almost getting divorced in our marriage and like all like hard times inside of our marriage and hard times inside of our family. And then it was like, come and see what God has done. Like we're opening a business and doing all these amazing things. And then it was like the other night sucked when we were there, but it was like, God is still good. Come and see what God has done. Except I'm just being honest. I'm like trying to say, okay, God, what have you done? I need you to kind of Lauren Daigle me up and say what's going on during the season, because I'm just being honest. It's tough right now.
Yeah.
And the weather is just making it worse, too.
It really
We got trees falling, dogs dying.
It's like the whole world's ending. Mm-hmm. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And no, it's interesting to me that I think there are words that can be interchanged here. When we talk about success, I think that we can exchange success with security.
Ooh.
So when I ask what's successful, what's secure? Like, oh, I'll be successful. It's just I'll be secure when this happens.
That's so good.
And failure, I think we can interchange with fear. This is a failure can be, I became afraid. And fear came in this situation.
Yeah.
And so I think that even in this conversation that we're having, where the underlying actual conversation is, where do I feel security? Where do I feel failure? Or where do I feel fear? And it's like, if I take it to that level, I don't feel successful. I feel fearful. And so it's like, there's no security in this. I've lost my security. Yes. But like going back to me getting locked out of the house, I was not going to die that night. Like outside of a bear coming out of the woods. yeah. Outside of a bear coming out of the woods and just eating me, which I would have been in the truck. It would have been fine. Mm-hmm. Like there was no immediate sense of danger.
Yeah.
There was a idea of this is how it's always going to be until I do die.
Whoa. Like despair.
Exactly. That's what I felt, dude. I felt despair. Like I felt like no one's coming for me. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper. This is something that came up in my therapy. And I might cry here, I'm sorry. But we have tears on Mosaic, and that's fine. We can show emotions.
We don't cry.
One of my deepest, not even needs, desires is like, I have a desire to be rescued. Like I don't want to have to do anything. I just want to be rescued. Like, will someone come and just rescue me from this? And it's tied to like I have a memory of when I was a kid and I was trying to find my mom and dad in the house. Like I couldn't find them. And I think dad went to work and mom was talking to the neighbor. But as a kid, I was searching the house for them and began to panic, began to feel that like I can't find mom and dad. I can't find them. And I opened the front door. And when I opened it, it ran across my big toe and it sliced my toe open. So now I'm bleeding and I can't find my mom. Like I can't find anyone. And so there was just this is the memory that like, I'm like in that moment, I want someone to rescue me. Like I am. And it didn't start off as a danger. It started off with uncomfortableness. I was alone and I was aware that I was alone.
Yeah.
But then in my searching, oh man, this is levels that I feel even in my life right now. In my searching to not be alone, I hurt myself. When it's like, obviously a child's not going to understand this, but as an adult, someone who's matured enough can understand just because you're alone does not mean you're not okay. Just because you're alone doesn't mean you don't have security.
Yeah.
You can be secure in your aloneness. And I don't think I am, dude. Honestly. Like even, and I'll take that to like my relational situation. Like I feel despair for that in my singleness. Like I feel despair. Like I feel like I will never have a family ever. Like that's what I feel today. And that pulls on me. And if I try to search for things to fill that, I'm going to hurt myself. I'll fall into porn. I'll fall into a bad relationship. I'll fall into premarital sex again. Like I will fall into something that's going to hurt me in the long run versus just being able to sit here and say, I'm okay being alone today. Even though I don't feel that right now. And so like this idea of the person who has everything put together and like is successful, I think what we see is security. They are secure. They're safe. This is something I've been saying for the last few days in like multiple conversations that keeps coming up. Safety is the number one thing that any human being needs. And if we do not feel safe in our relationships, if we do not feel safe in our job, if we do not feel safe in our home, whether that's perceived or it's it's an actual danger, if you're actually being abused, get out. Like, I think that like we need, if you're searching for an excuse, if you're searching for a sign to get out of a abusive relationship, this is it. Get out. You do not put family above safety. Like I feel that, like, and I've felt this for days. Like we value unsafe environments because we think that we're supposed to stay in them when the most important thing is your safety. And if people aren't safe for you, and that doesn't just necessarily mean like physically, your mental health, like everything like that, like narcissistic systems, things that are destroying your mental health, that's unsafe. Don't stay in that. And I think that we have all these excuses to like stay in, especially I feel it with family. Like I think there's someone's valuing their family over their safety. And they're not safe for you. If you break it down and you look at it by the facts, they're not safe for you. But we have to be, I can't have a good relationship with you if I don't feel safe. If that makes sense. Like this bleeds into every aspect. I can't be a good employee for you if I don't feel safe. So the tying of security, safety, and success, I think that's a conversation no one's really having. and then the failures being the fear. Like, this is a failure. This is a failed business because it's stopped. And now I don't have income. Now I don't have maybe you wanted to help people. Maybe you wanted to research whatever to ultimately find a cure for some disease. Like, it failed. And now there's this fear that that's always going to be a thing.
You know what? As you're saying that, two things come to mind. Like, fear is just the absence of love. And so, that's so interesting that you're making a correlation between fear and failure, because perfect love casts out all fear, and love never fails. Exactly. And so how can you fail when love is present? And the only time that we feel like we have failed and we're having fear because we failed is because God's not in the middle of the situation. It like, and I need to rephrase that because that's not true. If he's there in the situation, are we aware of him there in that situation? Because he is everywhere. He was there with you that night, but you felt like he was a million miles away because you were not aware of his presence. He is omnipresent, and he was there sitting down in the garage watching you trying to pick the lock in the garage. And he was like, I love this guy so much. And his presence was there, but you weren't aware of his presence. You were more aware of the kingdom of darkness and fear lying to you than the King of Kings sitting there in the garage. And I just think that's interesting. We've taught this for years through marriage counseling, which is ironic because we had a huge fight this week, which we'll talk about on another episode. But the thing we always teach people is the 4 mega needs for people are acceptance, identity, security, and purpose. Throughout life, you find all 4 of those in God. You have to, because that's the only way that you're going to find them. And celebrities or whoever it is, they're always looking for that acceptance from people and their identity, who they are, security, how do I feel safe? And then like, what am I doing with my life? And that security can only come from one place, and it's from love. Because, I mean, I'm the first one to say that sometimes I don't feel secure, and it's because I'm not looking to my God for security. Anything you want to say on that?
I think, and you can, I don't know if it's just me, but I have, like, when I feel something, I have to, like, break that down and, like, figure out why. Because I've been having, like, a hard week with everything, but I don't view myself as, like, a failure right now. Like, I know that this didn't work, but I've just been, like, in this process of grieving. And so I've grieved. Like, it is sad what's going away, because we did have our good moments. We did have good years. And, like, I've grieved the whole process of, like, oh, I'm not going to have this anymore. But I haven't, like, sat there and felt like, or looked at myself as, like, a failure and, like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so I feel like sometimes you can blur those, like being upset and getting emotional and like what's going, and not knowing like, hey, this is actually grieving, like, or being mad. I've had some mad moments, like where I
boy, has she
don't want to feel this because it's uncomfortable. Walking through it hurts. And it's like, okay, this sucks that I'm having to pack up all this stuff and move everything out and clean and hand keys to the next person. Like, and I can see
of
that
your dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of like, it's closing for me and then it's opening for her. And that's just like a hard place.
Yeah.
In that. And then having to be the landlord, you know, where it's like, I don't get to walk away and just like move on with my life. Like I'm still having to be there. I'm still having to see her success, which I'm grateful for. Like that's amazing. And I'm never going to condemn somebody or like do anything like that. But at the same time, it's really hard to walk through that, you know? And I know I'm hard-headed. I know God has to like do things the hard way with me because I think I can do it. Like we were talking about like if you could tell yourself something. It's like, I know I wouldn't listen to myself, but the future Ruth, I would sit here and be like, she's wrong. I think she didn't think of this, or this. Like, I still have these like things in my head that I think it's going to work. And I'm just like, I'm an entrepreneur, like through and through, to my heart, to my core. It's who I am. And so business will always be something that I'm doing, and I'm sorry. He doesn't like it of me.
I'm the complete opposite.
Yes, he is. And so it's something that I struggle. Like it's a thing between us. And so, but where was I going with that? I don't remember.
I think that you've got to be careful in these moments because that is difficult. Like you say, it's different from like if you got hurt by something or you have perceived failure because you can't fail in some area in your life and you're able to walk away and say, man, that season sucked. But it's interesting about your situation, our situation, because you are having to see this person. You're having to go to the same building. You're having to look at the dream that had to be laid on the altar to die and to walk past that every day. It's like some of the, I don't know. It's some of the things that you just wish you could move past in life and you don't. I mean, you can't because you have to see it every day. But it's a opportunity for despair to come in, and you've got to be careful of that. And all of our situations, mine, Ruth's, yours, because I feel like despair likes to creep in when faith and hope leave. Because despair is the thing that it's never going to change. It's always going to stay the same. You're screwed. And faith is, if you looked at like your dad saying you can go to the carnival tomorrow, like faith is knowing that my dad can bring me to the carnival. Hope is getting excited about going to the carnival. And you can't have one without the other. I'm convinced you can't have hope without faith, and you can't have faith without hope. And if you lose one of those, or you let one of those go, or you don't believe that God's a good God and he's going to bring something out of this and he's going to bring us to the carnival. I don't know where the carnival is, but I know my dad is a good dad and he's going to bring us to the carnival, and I cannot wait for the carnival. Then we're letting despair come in of the carnival's already left town and my dad's not going to bring me.
There's this poem that, well, I don't even know if it's a poem. It doesn't rhyme. But it's talking more about relationship, but I feel like this part applies here because it's listing a bunch of things that you're going to remember from like a dead relationship. And it says that this doesn't mean that you are doomed to be haunted by ghosts of love's past. It just means that someone was hands-on in the process of making you who you are today, and there is evidence all around you to support that. There is evidence that you loved hard. Your heartbreak isn't punishment. It's preparation for a greater love.
Yeah.
And I think in your... Because what I was sensing while you were telling your story about it is essentially like this place is haunting you. It feels like a ghost. It feels like I am now in the shell of my dreams, and I have to look at the same walls that are going to be someone else's success, or potentially. And it's like I'm hoping that this brings a perspective of just because you feel that way doesn't mean that that's going to like, this isn't haunting you. It's preparing you to say like, this is just evidence that you tried. This is just evidence that you dreamed. And dream again, like dream more. Because it didn't work here, but that doesn't mean it's not going to work. Maybe this wasn't the mold to hold it. And it needed to be a bigger mold. But our bigger mold doesn't look like it's a bigger mold. It looks smaller, but it's like, yeah, it's just more concentrated. And so it's, yeah, like having to hold that and not be able to like just completely walk away. That's hard. It's so much easier if it was a big town that you never had to see that building again. let alone it being across from where you go to church. Like, let alone like something that you have to see every day at some point. But turning it into, this was a place where I dreamed versus this was a place where I failed. Because you didn't fail. You haven't stopped. I think failure's just, what we deem as failure is when we stop. And so you keep going. You adapt, you change, you adjust.
I think you also look at things, or I'll just speak about me. I look at things as like, oh, the grass could be greener if I was over here, you know? And then you get over there and it's like, oh, I guess I want this. Because the grass is greener, but it's a lot more upkeep. There's a lot more you have to do. Yeah. And so.
Do you know what I say about that phrase?
No.
Because we always think that grass is greener on the other side. Grass is greener where you water it. So you got to water it. They just have to water their side of the fence. Start watering yours, it'll be greener. And so, yeah.
Ruth cuts down the fence. She's like, why is there a fence here? Just take it out. That's the entrepreneur spirit in you. When you're talking about the haunting thing, I want to say this over you and your business and dreams, that I got a picture of a dream that was coming through. I can't remember her name, the mom of Moses. And I was like, she, along with a ton of the Hebrew women that had to give up their babies that were slaughtered, but she, the mom, gave up her dream, her life, her own child, and had to lay that literally on the altar to like give it away. And I know that Moses was growing up in the palace. He was taught and was under Pharaoh and all this other stuff, but she had to give up her dream and everything in order that I could live. But then you shouldn't despair and you shouldn't let it haunt you, because the thing that you're giving up for all those Hebrew women and to see that being released ultimately was the tool that God used to come back and bring their deliverance. So the things that you give up, God is like, okay, yeah, you're giving it up for right now. And yeah, this time does suck for right now, but it's also something I'm going to use in the future to bring freedom to you and bring about a blessing for you. So I'm sorry. I just release that over you.
Thank you.
And you're hot. I can say that. Can I prophesy that too?
Yes.
Okay. I don't do that very often.
Well, you shouldn't. Only to me.
Yeah.
I do find it interesting because you said that you don't feel like a failure. I would be curious to ask, do you feel afraid?
What?
I think that's why.
I don't think so.
I think you don't.
I'm not afraid because I know. Well, because I'm condensing.
Because it's all gonna burn up anyway.
It is true. No, because it's like.
But that's what I want to hit on. Is like.
Yeah.
You don't feel like a failure because you don't feel afraid. And so like. That's just that's just something that I picked up on.
Yeah. I was afraid when I didn't know what was going to happen. Like in the very beginning, when we first started through this, I had a lot of anxiety and fear because it's just of the unknown when it's in somebody else's hands.
Your main fear that you had was for other people, though. Even when you were afraid, it was, I didn't know how this was going to affect the other ladies that were inside of her dream. That were sharing inside that business. And then God took care of that. And so in a day. And so it's like the things that you were most afraid of was for other people. It was really never for your situation. I don't think that's a mark of a good leader.
That's good.
Sorry.
It's all right. Do you need another beer?
Get another beer.
I think about that, what you were talking about with Moses' mom, and to take your little baby and literally release it in a basket in the river, the amount of fear that you would feel, the amount of trust that you have to have. Because how is that not in your mind already killing it? You know? Like, I know there wasn't firehouses back then, but like there's a difference between dropping your baby off at a firehouse and putting it in a river. And it's like, because I don't think the scriptures say like the Lord told her to do that. It was just her only idea of he has a better chance living in this river with no way to control where the baby's going to go. Like that is a abandoned faith like I don't have. Yeah. It is complete trust in something that I want to aspire to.
Yeah.
Because like, what's more needy than a baby in a basket in a river? Every second is a need.
Yeah.
How do we embrace being needy though? And being okay? Like, how do we not feel guilty for our need? And that's the question we pose to you guys. Because we don't have answers here. But, I don't know. Do you have anything on that?
The only picture, I think it goes back to when I was talking about abiding in the vine. That I'm the vine and you're the branches. That we're supposed to abide in him and he in us. Just the way that Jesus had to abide in the Father. Because there's no way that he would have made it, him being Jesus, would have made it as a man full of the Holy Spirit. Because he was fully God, but he was flesh. Yeah. Like he was man on earth. And that's because he can relate to us, or we can relate to him. And there's no way he could have made it through Gethsemane and thinking about, like, you think you were panicking that night. Imagine knowing you're going to be crucified the next day. Like, the panic that could have, like, you think about the sweat of blood that he was sweating, like he was in full-blown, I'm going to die tomorrow. And he's asking God 3 times, if there's any other way we can do this. I know everything with you is possible. Can we please do it? But he still submitted his will. And that's just, I don't know. That's just incredible to me.
When one thing that came up for me that I never even thought about until I watched The Chosen, which we would love season 4 to come out. It was supposed to come out Sunday. That's what I was told. It did not.
It did.
I checked it last night.
The first episode dropped.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Oh my gosh, I cried.
Did you watch it?
Oh yeah, I did. With bells on, whatever that means.
Your Christmas light bells?
My Christmas light bells.
No, so one of the things, because there's a scene, I think it's in the first season. No, it's in the second season. Of Jesus walking into a town, and they had crucified, I think it was like 2 to 3 people, and they're outside of the town. And I never thought of the fact that like crucifixion was a normal thing during that season, and he would have seen it more times than not, and every time knowing exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Knowing exactly how he was going to die. Every single time that he saw it.
Yeah.
And that just like broke my heart, like still taking those steps forward, still walking the path, knowing and being reminded often
of
what's coming your way.
Yeah.
Like if you knew the exact day and the exact time and the exact way that you were going to die, how do you not just give up? Like, how do you not just like stop? But to know that he still took those steps and he still did it, and the love that he had for us to do that
Alone.
Because
think about that, like going through, like you and me, imagine the worst situation that we could go through, and at least we have family, or at least we have somebody that we can call up and be like, man, today was the worst day of my life. Yeah. But he had people that not only didn't hang around with him, but people that were like, I don't know Sam. Never heard of that guy 3 times. Yeah. The one that says, like, Sam said he's going to die for me, and now he's saying 3 times he doesn't even know me. Yeah. And I'm going through the worst pain physically and spiritually that I've ever experienced. Yeah. And he knew that was coming, and he still did it. And imagine having all that, because it goes back to being needy. Like, he needed God's grace to walk through that, because without God's grace, he would have never made it through the cross. And now, if you think that, it circles all the way back to business or insurance and trying to make it through career or make it through panic, or even the things with like family, and you say like future and all the uncertainties we have, and we feel needy. We should be needy and say, God, we need your grace. The same grace that you gave Jesus to walk through the cross, I need that grace today, because I feel like, fill in the blank. I feel like I suck as a dad. I feel like I suck as a husband, because Ruth and I had the worst fight ever, which we'll talk about on another episode. I feel like I'm never going to have a family. I feel like all these things. God, I need your grace today. And it's not, that should be for our listeners. You're not a consumer to just think that I just have to like ask God all the time. You're not in a place where you just can live on an island by yourself. God designed you to eat manna every day, to come to him every day and ask him daily, I need your help. I need you today, right now, again. And he loves doing that. At least with me, he does. I don't know about y'all, but every time I've prayed, even in the craziest things, I tell Ruth this, periodically I will be driving, getting onto Highway 155, headed to my office, and I go, God, I have this, and this, like 6 or 7 things I'll line out. And I was like, God, can you help me today? I don't know how you're going to do it. Can you help me? And I've told her this has happened like 4 or 5 times. I come back before like my lunch is over, and I'm like, Ruth, you're not going to believe, but I did this, and this before lunch was over today. Like, God already took care of it. And I don't think that's being a consumer, or feeling like I'm out of my bounds. I feel like it's, God, abiding. I need you, abiding.
Because it's less of us and more of him.
Whoa, preach it, Ruth.
And we look at that as like a needy thing. But I think he thinks of it as just like a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think that I just have the perspective that it's maybe something he doesn't enjoy, you know? Like it's putting him out to have to fulfill this need and to show up again like in this way. But that's just more work that I have to do on myself.
Which is part of the fun adventure of growing with God.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
We all have our mountains.
I expected like the music to come in like on Family Matters, where they have that 90s sitcom moment where ding ding, and that's where I need to work on myself. Ding ding ding.
Bob Saget comes, sits on the couch next to you.
Listen here, Daniel. I know, Bob.
I know you tried today.
Bling, 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 bling. It's always keyboard.
You love the keys.
Nope.
No, I think that's the highlight of this episode. I think is like being okay and the needy, embracing your needy, and realizing that that's not outside of the design of what we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that is definitely something that's not spoken. I don't think I've ever heard that it's okay to be needy. Like, I don't think I've ever heard that in my life. Not a single time. It's always been shown in a bad light, but like, I think that that's a design that God definitely purposed. Like, why else would babies be born the way that they are?
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't like, if we are made in His image, every aspect, every journey, every step is purposed. And so there is a season, like even in my wording, I just tried to like put it as, it's just a season of needy. It's not. I think it's a needy life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a life of need.
Yeah.
And I think that if we can wrap our brains and wrap our mindsets around, we will always need.
Mm-hmm.
Then we don't get the despair of finding out I still need after I have security.
Mm-hmm.
After I've achieved so much success, I still need. If we know that going in, you are always going to need. Then that becomes, okay, how do I embrace that then? How do I embrace the fact that I will always need? And I think that that's where the Lord steps in. It's like, because He is the only one that can fulfill those needs.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, Ruth's favorite line, everything's going to burn. Except Him. And our relationship with Him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where like fulfillment comes in. That's where you start living now out of the overflow of He is constantly filling up my cup.
Mm-hmm.
A cup that runneth over only continues to runneth over because it's still being poured.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be a full cup otherwise. And so, yeah. Thank you guys for hanging out today and this evening, and 6 p.m. on Sunday nights. That's where the live chat's happening. They are going crazy down there. Wow. Whew.
Wow,
Man.
look at those comments. Whoa. Wow. Look at this ad that just popped up. Wow.
We don't have enough subscribers yet for ads.
Where the ads should be.
Yeah. And so I hope that you guys got something out of this episode. Honestly, I know it took us a little bit to get started, but like
It always does.
it always does. It always does. And this is how we like to end, because I feel a breath of completion here.
Yeah.
And yeah, we wish you guys the best, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.
It all burns up.